The ship graveyard stretched across the darkness of space like a field of metal bones. Thousands of dead vessels floated in silence, their hulls broken and their engines cold. Some were small fighters. Others were massive cargo ships that once carried goods between distant worlds. All of them were forgotten now, left adrift in the endless black. Taiho guided his small shuttle through the maze of wreckage. He had made this journey many times before. His hands moved across the controls without thinking, turning left around a destroyed cruiser and dropping below the remains of an old transport ship. He knew this path by heart. Haniel Station hung in the distance behind him, a bright circle of lights against the stars. It was home to over 50,000 people, most of them workers who stripped the dead ships for parts. Salvage was good business. The galaxy was always fighting, and fighting meant broken ships. Broken ships meant profit. But Taiho was not looking for profit today. He was looking for her Dot. She appeared through the debris field like a ghost rising from a grave. The ancient ship was unlike anything else in the graveyard. Her hull was smooth and dark, made from a metal that no scanner could identify. Strange symbols covered her surface, carved deep into the skin of the vessel. No database in human space could translate them. No expert could even guess what language they belonged to. The ship was old. Not hundreds of years old. Not even thousands. The best scientists at Haniel Station believed she was at least 10,000 years old, maybe more. That was before humans had left Earth. Before humans had even discovered fire. According to some estimates, and yet here she was, waiting. Taiho docked his shuttle at the only airlock that still functioned. The seal hissed as pressure equalized, and he stepped into the darkness of the ancient vessel. His boots echoed on the metal floor. The sound traveled down empty corridors and faded into nothing. He turned on his flashlight and began to walk. This was his 47th visit. Every week for almost a year, he had come to this ship. At first, it was curiosity. The vessel was a mystery, and Taiho loved mysteries. He was a salvage archaeologist, trained to study old ships and discover their secrets. This ship was the greatest secret he had ever found. But curiosity had become something else over the months. Something deeper. He could not explain it, not even to himself. When he walked these corridors, he felt watched. Not in a frightening way. It was more like the feeling of being in a room with someone who was sleeping. Someone who might wake up at any moment. He reached the command deck and sat down in his usual spot. The chair was made of some material that still felt soft after 10,000 years. The screens around him were dark and dead. They had never shown any sign of power. Tae-ho opened his bag and took out his lunch. A simple meal of rice and vegetables, packed by his sister Yuna that morning. She always made sure he ate properly, even when she thought his work was foolish. "I brought food again," he said to the empty room. "Yuna says I am wasting my time with you. She says I should focus on real salvage work. Ships that actually have value." Silence answered him. It always did. He took a bite and chewed slowly. Through the dark windows of the command deck, he could see the distant lights of Haniel Station. "The station got a new shipment of wrecks yesterday," he continued. 3 destroyers from the border wars. Good metal. Good parts. Everyone is excited. He paused and looked around the dark room. "But I wanted to come here instead." He did not know why he talked to the ship. It had started as a joke to himself, a way to fill the lonely silence. But over time, it had become something he needed. The ship felt alive to him, even though every scan showed no power and no life signs. Director Sungho thought he was losing his mind. The old man had called him into his office last month and told him to stop wasting station resources on the ancient wreck. "There is nothing there," Sungho had said. "The ship is dead. It has been dead for longer than our species has existed. Let it go." But Taiho could not let it go. Something inside him said to keep coming, keep visiting, keep talking. He finished his lunch and walked through the corridors again. His flashlight beam moved across walls covered in those strange symbols. He had photographed every inch of this ship. He had sent the images to universities, to research stations, to anyone who might help him understand. No one could. The language did not match any known alien species. It did not match any ancient human writing. It was completely unique, as if it came from a civilization that had vanished without leaving any other trace. Taiho stopped at a door that had always been sealed. He pressed his hand against it, feeling the cold metal through his glove. "What happened to you?" he whispered. "Who built you? Where did they go?" The door remained closed. The ship remained silent. He sighed and turned to leave. His shift at the station would start soon, and he could not be late again. Seung-ho was already watching him closely, looking for any excuse to reassign him to basic salvage work. As he walked back toward his shuttle, something caught his eye. A small light, barely visible, blinking in the darkness near the floor. He stopped and knelt down to look. It was a panel he had never noticed before. A tiny indicator light, flashing with a weak blue glow. His heart began to beat faster. In all his visits, he had never seen any sign of power in this ship. Not a single light. Not a single flicker of energy. He reached out to touch the panel, but the light went dark. The corridor returned to complete blackness. Taiho stayed there for a long moment, his hand hovering in the air. Had he imagined it? Was his mind playing tricks on him? He shook his head and stood up. It was probably nothing. Old systems failing. A last spark of energy fading away after millennia of sleep. But as he climbed back into his shuttle and flew toward Hanyul Station, he could not stop thinking about that tiny blue light. It had felt like something more than a malfunction. It had felt like a response, like the ship had heard him. He would come back next week. He would come back every week until he understood. The ship was not dead. He was certain of it now. She was waiting. The weeks passed like water through fingers. Spring turned to summer on the calendars that humans still kept, even though seasons meant nothing in space. Taiho continued his visits to the ancient ship without fail. Every 7th day, he would take his shuttle through the graveyard and dock at that same airlock. Every 7th day, he would walk those dark corridors and sit in that same chair on the command deck. And every 7th day, he would talk. "The Dominion attacked another colony last month," he said during one visit. He was eating noodles from a container, the steam rising in the cold air of the ship. A small farming world near the outer rim. The people there had no weapons, no defenses. The Dominion ships just appeared and started burning everything. He paused and stared at the dark screens around him. 3,000 people died. Families, children, and the Galactic Council did nothing. They said humans should have built better defenses. They said it was our fault for expanding into dangerous territory. His voice grew bitter. He set down his food and leaned back in the chair. "The older races think we are weak. They call us the young species. They say we have only been traveling the stars for 800 years, and we should be grateful they allow us to exist at all." He laughed, but there was no humor in the sound. "Allow us to exist. As if we need their permission to breathe." The ship remained silent, but Taiho felt something. A presence. A feeling of being heard. He had stopped questioning this feeling months ago. It was real to him, and that was enough. "Yuna lost a friend in that attack," he continued. "A woman named Hana, who she knew from engineering school. They used to talk every week over the communication network. Now Hana is gone. Burned to ash because some alien empire decided humans were taking up too much space." He closed his eyes and breathed deeply. The air inside the ship was stale and old, but somehow it calmed him. Being here calmed him. I do not know why I keep telling you these things, he admitted. You are a ship, an ancient dead ship that cannot hear or understand me. But I feel better when I talk to you. I feel like someone is listening. He opened his eyes and looked around the command deck. In the beam of his flashlight, he noticed something strange. A door on the far side of the room was open. Just a crack barely enough to see. But that door had been sealed shut on his last visit. He was certain of it. Tay-Ho stood up slowly and walked toward the door. His heart was beating faster, but he was not afraid. He pushed the door gently, and it swung open without resistance. Behind it was a small room filled with what looked like storage containers. They were made of the same dark metal as the rest of the ship, covered in those same mysterious symbols. Tay-Ho stepped inside and shined his light across the surfaces. Everything was covered in dust. Thick, ancient dust that had settled over thousands of years. But on one of the containers, there was a handprint. A fresh handprint, as if someone had touched it recently. Tay-Ho looked at his own gloved hand. He had not touched anything in this room. He had never even been inside it before. His mind raced with explanations. Maybe someone else had been here. Maybe another salvage worker had found the ship and explored it. But no, that was impossible. He checked the entry logs every week. No other shuttle had approached this vessel in years. He backed out of the room and closed the door. His hands were shaking slightly. The logical part of his brain told him to be afraid, to report this to Director Seung-ho and request a security team. But another part of him, the part that had been coming here for almost a year, felt only excitement. The ship was changing, responding. Waking up, he decided not to tell anyone. Not yet. Not until he understood what was happening. The next week, he brought gifts. It seemed foolish, bringing presents to an empty ship, but he did not care. He brought a small plant from Hanel Station's garden, a tiny green thing in a pot of soil. He placed it on the command deck near his usual chair. "This is for you," he said. "I do not know if you can see it. I do not know if you understand what it is. But on Earth, where humans came from, plants like this were everywhere. They covered the ground and filled the air with oxygen. We brought them with us when we left, and now we grow them on every station and every colony. They remind us of home." He sat down and looked at the plant. "I thought maybe you would like something alive in here. Something besides me, I mean." The lights on the command deck flickered. Just for a moment, so brief he almost missed it. But he did not miss it. Tay-Ho smiled. "You are awake, are you not?" he whispered. "You have been awake this whole time, watching me, listening to me. I knew it. I knew you were not dead." The lights did not flicker again. The ship gave no response. But Tay-Ho did not need a response. He had seen enough over the following weeks. He brought more things. A small photograph of Earth, taken from one of humanity's oldest satellites. A piece of metal from the first ship that had carried humans beyond their solar system. A recording of music, old songs from a time before space travel. He played the music during his visits, letting it fill the empty corridors. Sometimes he thought he heard the ship humming along, a low vibration in the walls that matched the rhythm of the songs. But he could never be sure if it was real, or if his mind was inventing patterns where none existed. Yuna noticed the change in him. His sister had always been observant, always watching him with worried eyes. "You seem happier lately," she said one morning as they ate breakfast together. "Lighter. Like a weight has been lifted." Tay-Ho shrugged. "I found something interesting in the graveyard." "The old ship? The one Seung-ho told you to stop visiting?" "Yes." Yuna frowned. "Tay-Ho, you need to be careful. Seung-ho is not a patient man. If he finds out you are still going there, he will reassign you to waste processing. You know that." "I know." Tay-Ho finished his meal and stood up. "But some things are worth the risk. He left before she could argue. He did not want to explain what was happening. He did not know how to explain it. The ship was waking up, slowly and carefully, testing him, testing his patience, testing his loyalty, and Tejo was determined to pass whatever test this was. His next visit was his 60th. He walked through the corridors with his flashlight and noticed that more doors were open now. Rooms that had been sealed for millennia were slowly revealing themselves. He explored each one carefully, photographing everything but touching nothing. In one room, he found what looked like beds. Sleeping pods, maybe, though unlike any design he had ever seen. There were 12 of them, arranged in a circle around a central pillar. 11 of the pods were empty and dark, but the 12th one glowed with a soft blue light. Tejo approached it slowly. Through the transparent cover, he could see nothing but darkness inside. But the glow was real. The power was real. Something was happening. He placed his hand on the cover of the pod and spoke softly. "I am here," he said. "I have been here every week for over a year. I do not know who you are or what you want, but I am listening. I am ready." The blue light pulsed once, twice, 3 times. Then it went steady and still. Tejo nodded and stepped back. Whatever this was, it was not yet complete. The ship was not ready. But soon, he could feel it. Soon, everything would change. The 67th visit began like all the others. Tejo docked his shuttle at the familiar airlock and stepped into the darkness of the ancient ship. He walked the corridors with his flashlight in hand, his boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. Everything seemed normal. Everything seemed the same, but it was not. He reached the command deck and stopped at the entrance. The room was different. The screens that had been dark for 10,000 years were now glowing with soft blue light. Symbols scrolled across their surfaces, the same mysterious language that covered the walls of the ship. The chair where he always sat was bathed in a gentle glow from above. Ho stood frozen. His heart was pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. This was what he had been waiting for. This was the moment he had dreamed about during countless lonely nights on Haniel Station. He stepped into the room slowly, carefully, as if any sudden movement might break the spell. The air around him felt different, warmer, alive. There was a hum coming from everywhere and nowhere, a vibration that seemed to pass through his bones. The ship was awake. Truly awake. He sat down in his usual chair and waited. He did not know what else to do. The hum grew louder. The lights on the screens pulsed in a pattern that felt almost like breathing. And then, after a silence that stretched for what felt like hours, a voice filled the room. "You came back." The voice was female, soft and gentle, like a grandmother speaking to a child she loved. But beneath the softness was something ancient, something that carried the weight of ages beyond counting. Tejo tried to speak, but no sound came from his throat. He swallowed and tried again. "Yes," he managed to say. "I came back. 67 times," the voice said. 67 visits across 469 days. You walked my corridors. You sat in this chair. You talked to me when I could not answer. Tears formed in Tejo's eyes. He did not know why. The emotion was too big to understand, too overwhelming to process. "I knew you were listening," he whispered. "I could feel it." "I was listening," the voice confirmed. "I heard everything. Your stories about the station. Your worries about your sister. Your anger at the races who looked down on your people. I heard it all, and I waited. Waited for what? A pause. The lights flickered gently. Waited for you to prove yourself worthy." Tejo blinked. Worthy? Of what? The screens around him changed. The scrolling symbols disappeared, replaced by images. He saw stars and planets, ships and stations. He saw things that looked like cities floating in space, massive structures that dwarfed anything humanity had ever built. He saw people, humans, but they wore clothes he did not recognize and carried tools he could not identify. "My name is Era," the voice said. "I am the consciousness of this vessel. I was built to wait, to watch, and to wake only when the time was right." When was the time right? When I found someone worthy, someone patient, someone kind, someone who spoke to me not as a machine, but as a soul. The voice softened even further. "You gave me gifts, Teho. A plant, music, pieces of your history. You treated me with respect and love, even when you believed I could not hear you." Teho wiped his eyes. "I just felt like it was the right thing to do. That is why you are worthy." The images on the screens changed again. Now they showed a map of the galaxy, billions of stars spread across the darkness. Certain stars were marked with symbols, dozens of them scattered across every region of space. "I must tell you something," Era said. "A truth that has been hidden for over 100,000 years. A truth that will change everything you believe about your species and your place in the universe." Teho leaned forward. His hands gripped the arms of the chair. "Tell me, you call yourselves young. The other races call you newcomers to the stars. They believe humanity evolved on a small planet called Earth and only began traveling through space 800 years ago. Yes, that is what we know. It is. Lie." The words hung in the air like thunder. "What do you mean?" Teho asked. "Humans did not begin on Earth. Earth was a seed world, one of hundreds that we planted across the galaxy over 100,000 years ago." Teho shook his head. He could not understand. "We? Who is we?" "The first human empire," Era said. "The architects. Your true ancestors." The screen showed more images now. Great fleets of ships, thousands of them, moving through space in formations that blocked out the light of stars. Cities on 100 worlds, filled with people who looked exactly like Teho. Like Yuna, like everyone on Haniel Station. 100,000 years ago, humans ruled this galaxy, Era continued. We were the first species to achieve true space travel. We spread to every corner of the stars. We built wonders that have never been matched. We were powerful beyond anything you can imagine. What happened? Teho breathed. The images changed to darkness, fire, destruction. "We fell," Ara said. "An enemy came. Something from outside the galaxy, from the void between the stars. We fought for 10,000 years, but we could not win. Our civilization was destroyed. Our worlds were burned. Our people were scattered and broken." Teho felt cold despite the warmth of the room. "Before the end, we made a plan," Era continued. "We could not save ourselves, but we could save our children. We took small groups of survivors and placed them on remote worlds at the edge of the galaxy. We removed their memories, their technology, their knowledge of who they truly were. We gave them a chance to start again. Earth, Aho said. Earth was one of those worlds. Yes, Earth and 117 others. Seed worlds, we called them. Places where humanity could grow again, safe from the enemy that had destroyed us. And the ships? Ships like you? We built guardian vessels, watchers. We filled them with the knowledge and technology of our empire and sent them to sleep near the seed worlds. Our instructions were simple. Wait, watch. And when humanity was ready, when they found someone worthy, wake up and give them back their inheritance. Teho could barely breathe. The weight of what he was hearing pressed down on him like gravity itself. I am ready, he said. Tell me everything. I will, Era promised. But first, there is something more you must know. The reason I am telling you this now. The reason I could not wait any longer. The screens went dark. When they lit up again, they showed a star map with strange marks moving slowly toward the center of the galaxy. The marks were red. They pulsed with a light that somehow felt wrong. Dangerous. The enemy that destroyed the first human empire, Era said. The force we could not defeat 100,000 years ago. Tejo stared at the red marks. It is waking up. The red marks on the screen burned into Tejo's mind. They moved slowly, drifting through the stars like drops of blood spreading through water. He counted 12 of them, scattered across different regions of the galaxy, but all moving in the same direction. Toward the center. Toward populated space. What are they? He asked. His voice was barely a whisper. We called them the Hollow, Era said. They came from the darkness between galaxies, from a place where no light has ever reached. We do not know if they were always evil, or if the void made them that way. We only know that they hate all life. They exist to destroy. The screen showed images of the Hollow. Ships, if they could be called ships, made of something that looked like twisted metal and shadow. They were not built. They were grown. They were alive in a way that was wrong, a mockery of life that fed on death. They attacked without warning, Era continued. One day, our empire was at peace. The next day, worlds were dying. The Hollow did not want to conquer us. They did not want our resources or our technology. They only wanted to end us. How did you fight them? With everything we had. Our weapons could hurt them, but they would always heal. Our shields could block them, but they would always find a way through. For 10,000 years, we threw our best minds and our strongest warriors against them. We slowed them down. We saved some worlds, but we could never stop them. Tejo thought about the Dominion Wars, about the alien empires that attacked human colonies and burned human cities. Those enemies seemed small now, petty. The Dominion could be reasoned with. The Dominion could be defeated. The Hollow were something else entirely. If they destroyed your empire, he said slowly, how are we still here? How did the seed world survive? The Hollow are not infinite, Era explained. They have limits. After they destroyed our empire, they went dormant. They retreated to the edges of the galaxy and slept, feeding on the remains of what they had killed. We hoped they would sleep forever. We hoped that by the time they woke, humanity would be strong again. But they are waking now. Yes, the signs began 50 years ago. Small movements. Faint signals. At first, I thought it might be nothing. But the movements grew stronger. The signals grew louder. Now, I am certain. The Hollow are returning. Tejo stood up and walked to the nearest screen. He touched the glass with his fingers, feeling the cold surface against his skin. How long do we have? I do not know. Years, perhaps. Decades, if we are lucky. The Hollow moves slowly, but they never stop. Once they begin, they will not rest until every living thing in this galaxy is dead. Then we need to prepare. We need to warn everyone. That is why I woke you, Tejo. That is why I revealed myself after all these years of waiting. Humanity must know the truth. They must understand who they really are and what is coming for them. Ara's voice grew softer, almost sad. But there is danger in this knowledge. The truth will change everything. It will shake the foundations of every government, every religion, every belief system that humans have built. Some will embrace it. Others will reject it. And some will try to use it for their own power. I understand. Do you? The knowledge I carry could make humanity the greatest force in the galaxy. The weapons of the First Empire, the technology of our ancestors, the secrets of 10,000 generations. All of it is stored within me. All of it is waiting to be reclaimed. Tejo turned back to face the center of the room. He did not know where it was exactly. She was everywhere, part of every wall and floor and screen. But he felt like he was looking at her. "You are afraid we will misuse it," he said. Yes, the first empire fell not just because of the hollow. We fell because we had grown arrogant. We believed we were gods. We believed nothing could challenge us. That pride made us blind to the danger until it was too late. Humanity has learned humility. We have been the weak ones for centuries. The lesser species. The newcomers. And that humility may save you where our pride destroyed us. But power changes people, Tejo. It changes nations. It changes species. I need to know that the humans of today will not become the monsters of tomorrow. Tejo nodded slowly. He understood. The weight of what Era was offering was almost too heavy to bear. The complete knowledge of an ancient empire. Weapons that could destroy planets. Technology that could reshape the stars. In the wrong hands, such power could cause as much destruction as the hollow. I cannot promise that every human will be good, he said honestly. I cannot promise that no one will try to misuse your knowledge. But I can promise that there are many of us who want to protect life, not destroy it. Many of us who would rather die than become conquerors. I know. I heard you speak of the Dominion attacks. I heard the pain in your voice when you talked about the innocent people who died. I heard your anger at injustice and your love for those who suffer. Then, trust us. Trust me. Help us become what our ancestors could not be. Protectors instead of conquerors. Defenders instead of destroyers. A long silence filled the room. The screens flickered and pulsed with light. Somewhere deep in the ship, ancient engines hummed with energy that had been sleeping for 10,000 years. I will help you, Era finally said. But I must give you one final warning. One last piece of truth that you must carry with you. Tell me, the Hollow are not the only threat. When the first empire fell, not all of us accepted it. Some of our people made a different choice. A terrible choice. The screens changed again. They showed humans, but these humans were different. Their skin was pale, almost white. Their eyes were dark and empty. They wore armor made of the same twisted material as the hollow ships. Some of our ancestors joined the enemy, Era said. They believed that if they could not defeat the hollow, they would become like them. They surrendered their humanity in exchange for survival. We called them the betrayed. Tejo felt sick. They became like the hollow? Not exactly. They became something between. Neither fully human nor fully hollow. They serve the darkness now, leading the hollow to worlds where life still exists. They are scouts and hunters. And they remember where the seed worlds are. Earth, Arniel Station. All of human space. Yes, the betrayed will guide the hollow to every colony, every station, every ship. They will not stop until your species is extinct or enslaved. Tejo's hands curled into fists. The fear he felt was enormous. But beneath it was something stronger. Anger. Determination. A fire that had been burning in human hearts since the first moment their ancestors looked up at the stars. Then we will fight them, he said. We will fight the hollow and the betrayed and anyone else who tries to destroy us. Humanity has survived wars and disasters and plagues for thousands of years. We will survive this too. I believe you, Era said. And that is why I will give you everything I have. The weapons, the knowledge, the secrets of the first empire. But you must use them wisely. You must become better than your ancestors were. If you fail, if you fall to the same pride that destroyed us, then nothing will survive. The hollow will consume everything. Tejo walked back to his chair and sat down. His mind was spinning with everything he had learned. The true history of humanity. The ancient enemy rising from the darkness. The betrayed who served that enemy. And the incredible power that was now within his reach. I need to tell others, he said. My sister. Director Sung-ho. People need to know. Yes, the time for secrecy is over. Bring them here. Let me speak to them. Let me show them what I have shown you. Taeho nodded and stood up again. He had come to this ship as a curious archaeologist. He was leaving as something else entirely. A messenger. A herald. The first voice of humanity's second age. I will bring them, he said. And then we will begin. Yuna did not believe him at first. She sat in their small apartment on Hanil Station and stared at her brother like he had grown a second head. An ancient ship that talks, she said flatly. A ship that claims humans are over 100,000 years old. And an enemy from the darkness between galaxies. Tao, you need to see a doctor. I know how it sounds, he replied. I know it seems impossible, but I am not crazy. Everything I told you is true, and I need you to come with me. I need you to see it for yourself. Yuna shook her head slowly, but she looked at her brother's eyes, and she saw something there that she had never seen before. A certainty, a fire. This was not the quiet, shy man who had always doubted himself. This was someone who had found purpose. If you are lying to me, she said, I will never forgive you. I am not lying. They flew to the ancient ship together. Taeho guided the shuttle through the graveyard while Yuna sat in silence, her arms crossed over her chest. She had agreed to come, but she still did not believe. When they docked and stepped inside, everything changed. The corridors that had been dark for so long were now glowing with soft blue light. The walls hummed with energy. The air was warm and alive. Why Yuna stopped walking. Her mouth fell open. This is impossible, she whispered. Come, Taeho said gently. There is someone who wants to meet you. He led her to the command deck. The screens were active, showing images of stars and ships and ancient cities. And in the center of it all, Era's voice filled the room. Welcome, Yuna. I have heard much about you. Yuna grabbed her brother's arm. Her grip was so tight it hurt. It is speaking, she said. The ship is speaking. My name is Era, the voice said kindly. I understand this is overwhelming. Please, sit. Let me explain everything. For the next 2 hours, Era told Yuna the same story she had told Taeho. The first human empire. The Hollow. The Seed Worlds. The Sleeping Guardians. Yuna listened without speaking, her face moving through expressions of disbelief, shock, wonder, and finally acceptance. When Era finished, Yuna was crying. All this time, she said, all this time we thought we were alone. We thought we were the youngest, the weakest, but we are the oldest. We are the survivors. Yes, Era confirmed. And now it is time to remember who you are. Taeho took his sister's hand. We need to tell others. We need to bring people here who can help spread this knowledge. Leaders, scientists, people who can make humanity ready for what is coming. What about Sung-ho? Yuna asked. Him too. I know he doubted me. I know he thought I was wasting my time. But he is a good man. When he sees the truth, he will understand. Director Sung-ho came the next day. He arrived with a frown on his face and suspicion in his eyes. He had only agreed to visit because Yuna had asked him personally, using favors she had built up over years of excellent work. This better not be a waste of my time, he said as he stepped out of his shuttle. I have a station to run. It will not be a waste, Taeho promised. Please, just give me 1 hour. 1 hour turned into 3. Sung-ho sat on the command deck and listened to Era's story with growing amazement. He asked questions, demanded proof, challenged every claim. Era answered patiently, showing him records and images and data that could not be faked out by the end. The old director was shaking. This changes everything, he said. Everything we know. Everything we believe. Yes, Era agreed. And that is why I need your help, Director Sumho. The truth must spread, but it must spread carefully. If this knowledge is revealed too quickly, it could cause chaos. Governments could fall. Wars could start. Humanity must be prepared before they learn who they truly are. Sunho nodded slowly. The suspicion in his eyes was gone, replaced by something else. Purpose. Determination. I have contacts in the Human Council, he said. Politicians and military leaders who trust me. I can bring them here quietly. We can plan this together. Thank you, Era said. And thank you, Taiho. Without your patience and your faith, none of this would be possible. Over the following weeks, more people came to the ancient ship. Council members and admirals. Scientists and engineers. Each one arrived skeptical and left transformed. The truth of humanity's past spread through the highest levels of human government, like fire through dry grass, but not everyone was ready to believe. Some leaders rejected the claims as lies or tricks. Some religious figures called Era a demon sent to deceive humanity. There were arguments, debates, even threats of violence. Era had warned that this would happen. She had seen it before, 100,000 years ago, when the First Empire faced its own internal divisions. But she also knew that truth was stronger than fear. Given time, given proof, even the most stubborn minds could change. And they did, slowly, one by one. 3 months after Era first woke, humanity was ready. Taiho stood on the command deck of the ancient ship. Yuna was beside him, along with Director Sunho and a dozen other leaders who had become believers. The screens around them showed a single image, a map of human space, every colony and station and ship marked with light. The message is prepared, Era said. When I send it, every human in the galaxy will hear it. Every screen will show it. Every speaker will broadcast it. There will be no more secrets. Are we ready? Yuna asked. We have to be, Taiho said. The Hollow are coming. We cannot wait any longer. Sunho stepped forward. Send it. Era's engines hummed with power. Deep within the ship, systems that had been dormant for millennia roared to life. The hull began to glow with blue light, energy building, and swelling until it seemed like the entire vessel might explode. And then the message went out. Across human space, screens flickered and changed. In homes and offices, in stations and ships, in colonies scattered across 1,000 worlds, Era's voice spoke to every human alive. Children of Earth, children of the seed worlds, hear me. People stopped what they were doing. Workers paused their labor. Soldiers lowered their weapons. Families gathered around their screens and listened. You have been told that you are young. You have been told that you are weak. You have been told that you do not belong among the stars. This is a lie. Images appeared on every screen. The first human empire in all its glory. The great ships and the great cities. The billions of humans who had lived and thrived long before any other species in the galaxy took its first breath. 100,000 years ago, humanity ruled this galaxy. We were the first, the greatest, the most powerful civilization ever to exist. But we fell. An enemy came from the darkness and destroyed everything we had built. The images changed to show the Hollow. Their twisted ships. Their empty hunger. People across human space felt fear crawling up their spines. Before we fell, we planted seeds. Small groups of survivors hidden on remote worlds, given a chance to begin again. Earth was one of those seeds. You are the children of the greatest empire the universe has ever known. Taiho felt tears running down his face. Beside him, Yuna was crying too. This was the moment they had worked toward. The moment everything changed. The enemy that destroyed us is returning. The Hollow are waking from their long sleep. They will come for you as they came for your ancestors. But this time, you will be ready. Era's voice grew stronger, more powerful. I carry within me the knowledge and technology of the First Empire. The weapons that can hurt them. The shields that can protect you. The secrets of 10,000 generations. All of it is yours. Your inheritance. Your birthright. The final image appeared on every screen. The ancient ship, glowing with power, rising from the graveyard of Haniel Station. No longer a forgotten wreck. A guardian. A protector. A symbol of everything humanity had been and could become again. Children of Earth, you have been asleep too long. It is time to wake up. It is time to remember who you are. It is time to take back what was stolen from you. The message ended. Silence fell across human space, and then, slowly at first, but building like a wave, a sound began to rise. Cheering, crying, shouting, on 1,000 worlds and 1,000,000 ships. Humans screamed their joy and their fear and their hope into the void. Tai-Ho looked out the window of the command deck. Haniel Station was visible in the distance, its lights flickering as people celebrated and panicked and tried to understand what they had just learned. What happens now? He asked. Now, Era said, we prepare for war. And we hope that the children of the First Empire are better than their ancestors were. Tai-Ho nodded. He thought about everything that had led to this moment. His weekly visits to an ancient ship. His quiet conversations in the darkness. His faith in something he could not see or prove. We will be better, he said. I promise. The ancient ship's engines roared to life for the first time in 10,000 years. Her hull glowed with power as she rose from the graveyard, leaving the field of dead vessels behind. Humanity's second age had begun, and this time they would not fall.